Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good afternoon to everyone. So this is the presentation outline for my presentation. You can see that I have 17 items that I want to share with you and I have only 1 hour. So I will try my best to talk as much as I can and share as much as I can with you. So before I want to go further, I would like to tell you that I have 16 patents. And at that time, I did not do anything with the patents, not until I went for Royal Academy of Engineering UK Leadership in Innovation Fellowship programs in LEAP 4 in 2017. And from that onwards, it inspired and motivate me to commercialize my product. So at present, I already have 2 of my product commercialized and also 2 more ingoing. So I hope that this talk is also one of the inspiring talk for all of you, so that after this talk, you will get inspired and motivated just like me. So today, I want to tell you why are we here today, why technology transfer is important, who plays the role, why are we here today. So let me share with you. So some of you are not with us on the series early that we started on the 17th of February. So we have this webinar series and beginning of 17 February. And then today is the last session that I'll be talking on technology transfer implementation. And why we want to listen to all these series lectures is just to improve our commercialization. I'm sure many of you, the audience today, are researcher and you are eager to know how you want to commercialize your product and innovation, and also their audience, that technology transfer officer here with me. Okay, why it is important? Why it is important? Because other countries have shown that a well-functioning commercialization activities improve the national economy and keep it globally competitive. So that's what we want to do. And who play the roles? The government, the industrial, the corporate sectors, and the university, the technology transfer office, and you yourself. We have to work together, then only does the nation benefit. So today, I want to introduce to you some of you who did not know about what is actually technology transfer. So technology transfer actually is a process which is mainly concerned with transfer of technology from your research, your laboratory bench work area to the production and quality assurance environment. So this process which existing knowledge, facility or capability developed under the research and development funding are utilized to fulfill the public and private needs. And technology transfer include a range of formal and informal cooperation between the technology developer, that will be you if you are the researcher, and the technology seeker, the industrial or whoever the customer who wants your innovation. So technology transfer also is a process that move a technology of IP from one entity to other. So it can be from company to company, from university to company, or from a national lab to a company. So in so doing, there has to be perceived value that is agreed upon by both parties. So in almost all cases, it includes an annual licensing fee when you license your technology, and you also will get a royalty based upon the successful commercialization and your negotiation. So the role of technology transfer in economic development, it increased the physical stock of productive and innovative resources, further exploitation of the economical resources. So you have your natural resources, your manpower, your innovation, your physical resources, and also this increase the productivity in terms of our labor, our capital, our natural resources, and innovation capacity. So why technology transfer is important? So this is what I would like to share with you, my mentor, John Fraser, who gave an inputs to me because he was the president for the Association of University Technology Manager, we call it AUTM in United States. And they have conducted a study regarding about the importance of technology transfer. So you have to listen this because the number are very, very awesome. According to them, among the report top finding between 19 to 96, 1960s, 1966, 1996 to 217, the university technologies transfer lead to the United States gross domestic project GDP impact up to 865 billion. The gross industrial output over those 20 years was up to 1.7 trillion. And the discovery and commercialization of these technology supported up to 5.9 million jobs nationwide. So that's nothing to sneeze at. So this number is very interesting. And looking at Malaysian scenario, we have 19 public university, 5 research university, and we also have 53 private universities, 6 foreign university, 403 private colleges, 30 polytechnics, 73 public community in Malaysia. We should have technology that need to be commercialized. And according to our national statistics on university commercialization rates are very low. Based on the Malaysian National 11 plans, the commercialization rate by university have been set for 5%. However, we only reach about 2.1%. So this is very sad, right? So what are the numerous factors that contribute to the poor rates? Failure to understand the needs of the university in helping them to improve their ability in innovation. And according to Valent 2016, the fighting for ivory tower syndrome. So this is the crucial in developing country and necessity to assess innovation capability. We look are far-sighted, what we did not look at the near-sighted around us. So another country, European country, have come out for improving their commercialization. And the process, they want to improve it. They come out with a book. They call it a European Commission at Reports. And they come out with the European Knowledge Transfer Matrix. According to this knowledge transfer metric, you can download it in the internet. And at the page 3 and page 4, describe the various ways that the university collaborates with the outsider. From the research finding, you got your grant, you do your research, and then the outcome of your research, you come up with the publication processes, the researcher know-how, the innovation skill, and then we go to the knowledge transfer channel. We publish our publication in the in the journal, and then we have our collaborative researcher, contract research, licensing, company creation, and then we have our user who do the startup, the spin out, citizens, our customers, the society, the government, the policy maker, the small companies, the big companies, and the other factors. And the impact is job creation, new product coming over, the new services, the turnover, the profit, the R&D expenditure, the percentage of turnover for the new product and services, new policy come out, new intervention, new improved processes, health and well-being for the civil society. So that what's the European measuring the knowledge transfer metrics. So who benefit the technology transfer? The university. If we keep improving our commercialization, we will increase our reputation in each of the institution. The industry will say, okay, this university is very good and we are not silo or we are not short sendiri during our research, and show the nation that we are no longer in the ivory tower but are engaged in addressing the real problems in our society. For the private sector, they keep improve commercialization. It will increase the productivity and the global competitive. This will increase the ability to partner with the big league globally and increase the ability to attract the high skilled manpower needed. For the government, of course, we will help to accelerate the job creation and the well-paid jobs and generate wealth and improve the well-being of the citizen and increase our GDP. So what are the ways the technology is being transferred? There are so many ways. Consultation, having this seminar like this, and then graduating your students that do the research and innovation from the faculty, moving on, the collaborative research, patenting and licensing, service and outreach, and spin-off company. So the technology transfer agent, who is the technology transfer agent? The R&D units, the technology transfer office, the university, the public research technology institute, the laboratory, and you yourself now. You have to be your own transfer agent. The companies, the supplier of technology, the R&D of third parties, the spin-off, startup, large R&D department, competitors, and other alliances. So I want to share with you, in technology, there are two types. There are the academic technology and the established import technology. Today's session, I'm going to focus on the academic technology. So this academic technology will focus that will about linking the resident creativity on the campus to the national economy. The established import technology is the one that you import a well-established product from overseas. So for the academic technology, there are three types of technology. The first type technology, we categorize it the emerging technology. In this kind of emerging technology, this is an innovative technology that currently is undergoing bench scale testing, in which a small version of the technology is tested in the laboratory. So I can say that you are in the technology readiness level 4. So for the innovative technology, the technology that has been field tested, you apply in the real environment, you tested it, but you still have a lack history of full scale use. For example, you still have not get a certification or accreditation and so on. So we can label this one as a TRL 5 and TRL 6. And for the established technology, is the technology that have gone through all the standards for certification and all the validation and so on. And this is a fully document that the technology is ready to be the market. It's TRLs 8 and 9. So let us look at the technology transfer processes. There are many processes involved. First of all, in order for us to get commercialization, we have to do our market validation. When we do our market validation, we are at the same time evaluate our product, we are doing the promotion, and at the same time, with the feedback from our market validation, we will innovate our innovation to improve doing the research and development, and then we assess again our innovation, and then we document it in terms of the information and communication, and do in the flyer and brochure, and we start doing our business proposal and try to pitch to the investor to get investment, investor to invest in our innovation, to license our innovation, and get partnership and collaboration. So that's the whole process of the commercialization. So in terms of the process of commercialization, you have the content of the technology transfer. So the contents, first of all, your proper research. Your proper research means that the results are reproduced and issues such as scale up. Means that your research, when someone else want to copy and emulate, the research can be able to be duplicate and can be able to scale up. So this is called the proper research. And other practical now has been addressed, everything has been taken up in place. And the paperwork. So the paperwork is very, very important, because this is where the institute and the organization have an IP protection and commercialization modality and policy in place. So if you have already a guidelines and IP commercialization in place, it's easy for the researcher and it's also for the industrial to license your innovation or to take up your innovation, because there are already a regulation and rules in the policy. And the pricing is very tricky, because if you put too high for the price, nobody want to buy your innovation. And if you put too low, then you will lose for your cost for innovate it. So you have to think about the price that is reasonable. Make sure that the price should include all the expenses of your developing the product, including the price of filing the IP. And the publicity. So the publicity, you cannot do just a blanket publicity. You have to have a targeted publicity, whether you want to publicize your innovation in a certain journal, website, letters to the manufacturer, personal selective visits, or to the website, a certain area. And then we have a partnership. The partnership also means that working along with the industry. So when the industry takes up, the manufacturer makes available to the society. And then when you already have the partnership, we have to get the people to accept our innovation. And in doing that, the people acceptance is very, very important. It's not it is no use trying to develop something technology that the people will not accept. For example, a very sensitive issue for the Muslim, the product must be halal, and for the Indian population, that the product that when you do for the food must not have any processed beef in that. So it's a vegetarian. So this is all the things that you have to consider when you do, and in order to get the people acceptance. That's the proper contents of the technology transfer. And the function of technology team. So this is the key important thing. You have actually three function. One is the function who do the coordination. So the coordination is very important because it coordinate between the technology user and developer, between the researcher and manufacturer is very important element of the technology transfer. And nurturing is very important because when the technology is still in the baby, you need to nurture it and try to accelerate the technology to up to the TRL 8 and 9. And linkages is very important for you to linkage with the industrial, to get networking and to get the business enterprise to connect to the outside world. So this is the factor affecting technology transfer tips. So when I say tips, it is not the tips, but tips stand for technology implementation potential for success. So we say the tips methods. So what are the factors that contribute to the success of the technology transfer? Most important thing is communication. For the tech transfer office, if you want to have your tech transfer officer, make sure that the officer who communicate with the industrial are the person who can be able to communicate well. And then we have to think about the factor of the financial, the external factor, the human factor, the characteristic of the human, and also the corporate and the technology factor itself, whether the technology is feasible or not feasible, or whether the technology is sustainable or not sustainable, especially for this pandemic area. So today, I'm going to show now with you what are the background study that I have already studied on the technology transfer implementation that has been implemented in the Malaysian university, the technology transfer landscape, setting, and improving the best practice in Malaysia university. So we have already developed the module outline. So basically, you can get the copy of the module with the organizer, and the module will cover on the introduction about what are the technology transfer, what are the university role for the technology transfer activity that they do, the policy of the technology transfer, the TTO, technology transfer office problems they are facing, and also the struggle that they are doing in order to accelerate your technology transfer, and the pain point and the call for actions. So today we want to see what are the technology transfer office structure and role background study. So when I study the governance of the organization chart in the Malaysian Technology Transfer Office for the 5 top RU University, University Malaya, UTM, UPM, USM, and UPM. So we realized that the Malaysian University Tech Transfer Office sits and reports direct under the government of the Office of Deputy Vice Chancellor Research and Innovation. So most of the TTO office in the university sits under the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Research and Innovation, because DVC is the one who give them the budget, except for University Malaya, who sit and report under the Associate Vice Chancellor of Industrial and Community Engagement that reports to the Vice Chancellor of Research and Innovation. And if you can recall Dr. Viraj talk in the previous webinar, Dr. Viraj says that to have a successful technology transfer commercialization office, we need to have less layers. So if you can see that all the few university have the only one layer, directly DVC with the VC, but in University Malaya, we have 2 layers. And for the governance of the organizational chart in the Malaysian Technology Transfer Office, so I summarize only from the 3, we realized that most of the employee in the Malaysian University Tech Transfer Office are contract staff and academic personnel and research officer that been seconded. Looking at University Malaya is the least staff that we ever had. We have only 7 permanent staff, and out of the 7 permanent staff is the 2 lecturer, one is the director, another one is the deputy director, and 2 research officer, and the rest are the supporting staff. And these all 7 permanent staff actually are the seconded staff. So they are not a permanent staff in the tech transfer office. For the UTM, they got 18 permanent staff, and they are also all seconded staff. And for the UPM, they have the highest 20 permanent staff. So what we can see, what can I summarize the example of good practice? the good practice governance and organizational charge in the Malaysian Technology Transfer Office, we can say that we are proud to say that UPM is the number one, and the tech transfer for UPM called Putra Science Park. And when I do the study, I interview them and I look at the website and all the information, I realized that their policy is very smart and intelligent, because they promote their deputy directors to become the directors after having served in prior role as a period of 3 or 4 years. So usually their directors are from the deputy directors. Looking at the former Putra Science Park past director, Prof. Shamsila Roslan, she was the director for 11 years. So being the director for 7 years and prior having a deputy director for 4 years, a total of 11 years in technology transfer office in UPM. And the very good policy being imposed by UPM policy is that each of the appointment was based on the 3 seconded terms. So for example, if the director has been appointed as a director, they have 3 terms. The first term is for 3 years, the second term followed by the 2 years, and then the third terms followed by the 1 year. Therefore, the director will stay the position as the director for 7 years. This is the longest directorship in the history of Malaysia University Tech Transfer Office. The duration of 7 years has given her adequate time to blueprint her strategy and implement. Under her outstanding leadership, we can see that PSP UPM TTO has been championed for many awards as listed below. So you can see they got a series of awards, and the Intellectual Properties Award organization categories consecutively since 2016 to 2018. And what they have is that they have 2 deputy directors. One deputy directors that take care of the IP, and another one focus on the commercialization, whereby other university, we only have like for University Malaya, we only have 1 deputy director, and for UKM they also only have 1 deputy director, but UTM have also 2 deputy directors, whereby 1 deputy directors are being located in JB, Johor Bahru, and another one is being located in Kuala Lumpur. And one good about the practice being in the UPM is that their IP deputy directors is a law lecturer that has been appointed in the covet position since 2013, means that their IP deputy directors has been serving at the TTO for 9 years. So this is the tips and the success story of the UPM. So in order for you to deliver a real economic impact and commercialization of patents, need a dedicated team of specialized working full-time in the technology transfer, as what UPM have already implemented. They have seconded all their staff for quite a long duration of time. And we also do not want a non-academic staff member seconded for only, it's not recommended to have a academic staff seconded for only 2 or 1 year. So this is not viable. So what our recommendation staff in Malaysian technology transfer for those university who do not have the funding, this is my recommendation, the minimum to have a very good technology transfer office of 8 staff, to have 1 director and to have 2 deputy directors, 1 in charge of the IP, another one for commercialization, to have at least 5 full-time licensing officer that are multidisciplinary. 1 take care of medicine, physical sciences, social science, and engineering and computing. And you have 1 dedicated IP officer that will draft and complete the signing of revenue and non-revenue generating licensing agreement, and at least 1 or 2 administrative supporting staff for all the administration work. So this is the proposed technology transfer organization charge. You can have it in the module, already documented in the module. So if your organization is very small, you can't afford, for example, this is the complete one that university that have the incubator. So for those who do not have the incubator, you can forget about the left incubator there. You can just focus on the two branch. Okay, let me share with you on the Technology Transfer Key Performance Index. We call it KPI, set by the Minister of Education, especially for the research university. We call it MIRA. And this MIRA is referred to the Public Research University TTO document. And under the section E, innovation, and under the section F on the professional services and gift. Looking at the services sections E on innovation, the TTO have to perform the patents, they have to do commercialization products, they have to do technology or know-how licensing, outright sales, IPRs, and also startup and spin out, and also for generating income on the professional service and give. So I want to share with you the university layer. So basically, the formula are more or less the same, that it depends on the number of staff of your science and technology staff. And then for university layer, for example, we have about 1,200 academic lecturers in the science and technology. So for the patent granted is the factor of 0.01, and for the patent file is the percentage of 4% of the lecturer in your university. So this one will varies according to university number of lecturer and then the IPR. However, the commercialization product, the licensing and the outright sale are the fixed. They are number in a year. You have to produce a KPI of 10 product has been commercialized at the sales at least a minimum of 20,000, and the licensing fee at least 10 license has been successfully licensed in a year with at least a minimum price of 10,000, and the outright sales at least 10 for 10,000 minimum. So you can see a very challenging task for the technology transfer in Malaysia to take this job. So what actually are the technology office core activities? The activities ranges from number 1 to number 6. If you can see that, it's a spectrums. So it started in development and management of the policy on the IP policy commercialization strategy, and then you start building your IP document, your book, your blueprint, and then building the entrepreneurship culture and capabilities, and then do your IP protection and management, and then managing the commercialization fund, try to commercialize it, and then managing the licensing deal and negotiation, and monitoring and overseeing the startup and spin off. And I want to share with you the tips for successful technology transfer process. So basically, this is the process for patent filing, but for the RU. And this is the one that I share with you for university layer. However, they are more or less the same for other research university. It's just that the duration of time might vary, depends on the university. For example, in university layer, the process between here is within 1 month, 2 weeks, and so on. But maybe other university, the duration of time might be varies, but the component of the processes are more or less the same. So this is very good for the university who still do not have a technology transfer, and you can read in the module, and you can mimic and follow this module as a guidance for you to develop your disclosure and patents. So first of all, the technology transfer office will receive application from the researcher who think that, oh, I got an innovation and I want to file and protect my innovation. So they will sign their request either to the e-register on the website of the technology transfer, or either through the manual copy. And then the TTO will review the application, and then they will call for a meeting, and they will have a committee meeting to evaluate the presentation. So after the presentation, the committee, if the committee recommend the technology, then they will go to do for patent search. I want to highlight to you that in Malaysia, usually the technology transfer office did not do the novelty search. We usually hire a third party that is a patent agent to do the work for us. So this third party agent is the one that do the novelty search for us. So it varies, the time and duration depends on the university request. Sometimes I've experienced that I ask the patent agent to do for only for within 3 days, and they can be able to do the novelty search for me. So this is the drafting. So once the novelty search has been drafted by the patent agent, it will go to the committee, and they will review again, and we will send to the researcher itself to double check and confirm. And if everything is all in order, we will file to the Malaysian Intellectual Property organization. And then the TTO will submit the copy of filing. Then only the researcher will get, they call it PI. So you will get a number, PI blah blah blah, university what, and so on. So means that your patent will be already being filed. And this is the one that I want to share with you, the Malaysian University IP and commercialization policy in place. Most of the RU university already, most of the RU university already have the pattern in place. So this is University Malaya IP policy. This is UKM, UPM, UTM. And not forgetting the non-RU university also, when I do my research, I realized that there are many non-RU university that have their IP and commercialization policy in place, such as University Malaysia Sabah, University Malaysia Pahang, UTHM, UITM, UMP, and UTEM, and a few private university. But private university, I couldn't find much. So we are still lacking in the private university. So this is the finding of the license finding. So in order for you to have a license funding, first of all, the Technology Transfer Office will appoint the officer to work with the inventor and the researcher. They will have a discussion, and if the innovation is in a medical science, then we will identify the Technology Transfer Office that are well versed in the medical science and talk with this one, and they will discuss and identify the potential customer or industrial that want to take up the innovation, and they will go for negotiation and they have to sign the license. So this is the negotiation process. So I want to inform you that before you talk to the industrial or whatever your potential customer, never ever talk to them before you file, you sign a NDA. So NDA is a non-disclosure agreement, means that after you talk to the industry whatsoever, they are abide to your copyright. They could not be able to tell to other people, they cannot copy whatsoever, because they already signed and this was already copyrighted. So this is very important in the negotiation processes. And the outcome of the negotiation process, the outcome usually I can categorize here. There are 5 outcomes when you want to negotiate your licensing. So this is for licensing. Okay, the outcome will be 6. One is startup. Okay, and the first of all, there are negotiation that you have an exclusive license. So you exclusively license your innovation to the company exclusively, means that other company, other people cannot have, only that company. A non-exclusive license means that you can give to 3 or 4 company to license your innovation. And sole license means that you give to one company, but the license is granted with certain right, then you yourself, your university, have still the right to explore the IP, and while the university also have the right to explore the IP. And cross license. Cross license means that you have one industrial partner that is interested in your innovation, and this industrial partner have one IP and you have IP. So what we do is we exchange. I use your IP for free, you use my IP for free. We have a cross license IP for free in mutual understanding. And the 5th one is the outright sales, means that you give the ownership of the IP to the company. Number 1, 2, 3, and 4 means that you license your innovation only to a certain period of 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. But in number 5, you give it forever, means that you sell it forever. So this is the outright sales IP. So this is an example of the UPM commercialization process. You can have a look at the website, the processes that I already explained to you. So this is the unique to theirs. They have the meeting detail with the technology presentation, agree to license terms, and so on. And this is for the UKM. So now I want to share with you with the technology transfer tactics. What are the tactics? First of all, the tactics is very important. The government plays an important role all along the innovation and technology transfer pathway. So in Malaysia, there are many policy standards and initiative has been implemented by the government to stimulate and support and accelerate the technology transfer. So the tactic is that you have to be in line with the government's needs, with the industrial needs, and in line with what the governments offer. So these are the policy that has been offered by the government since 1960. All the export-oriented Look East policy, science and technology policy, national automotive policy. So if you are doing on national automotive, take up on this policy and get advantage of what they provide. And what I want to highlight one of the successful story for Malaysia, that we have the Look East policy, whereby we have the technology transfer to automotive industrial assembly of national car and local supply chain. And that's why we have our Proton. If we do not have this policy, we do not have our own Proton, our own national car. And I want to share with you one of the case study that I found out that Associate Professor Dr. Hanafia Yusof, he is a robber prona. He claimed he said, and he started up a company, and he claims that he is the outcome of the Look East policy in 1980s. So what he did, he already innovate a robot that can introduce a robot for autism therapy application. This is a very interesting, using a robot to make a therapeutic for autism kids. And the company called Robert Pruna, so they are in the futuristic. So this is very interesting. You can see how they can do the programming for the robot, and the robot can be able to talk and mimic like Malaysian, like the human being. And when they say that the first robot ever in the world is Sophia, but in Malaysia we have Professor Hanafia already have the first robot. We call it Adam, that can be able to have a humanoid robot. So this is the trend of the technology transfer policy. And I do not want to go further in detail because time is running out, so I have to expedite my talk. So I think Dr. Biru already talked to you on the source of funding. So I want to highlight again, go for the National Innovation Technology for the researcher who are still struggling to get your innovation, get this opportunity. And also for the MOSTI Grand Challenge, and also for the MOSTI combating COVID. There are a lot of money is there, 3 millions and 4 millions and so on. So and at the same time, for the Malaysian technology transfer facilitated by the national policy, there are a policy done by the Minister of Higher Education. We are now finalizing the technology transfer policy guideline for the university, and the MOSTI also have come out with the intellectual property commercialization policy for research and development project fund by the government of Malaysia. So for those university still do not have a IP policy, if you want to do your IP policy, is advisable for you to refer to this IP policy. And then I want to share with you, I'm one of the committee for developing these guidelines, standards, the guidelines for technology commercialization. So CIRIM has come out with the guidelines for technology commercialization, and it's very interesting for the industrial, especially the industrial partner who want to do for technology commercialization. You can refer to this guideline. In this guideline, they will inform you understanding the context of the organization, and then establishing the technology commercialization ecosystem leadership. And they emphasize it's very important for the industrial and the top management to have a support for the technology transfer. So another tactics for a successful technology transfer is to have a balanced technology transfer organization chart. As I mentioned to you, have a permanent staff of your IP staff, and you get at least one RTTP, a professional technology transfer officer to be in place. And then for a good strategy, the director itself, when the university want to nominate the director for the technology transfer, it is advisable to nominate someone who are very senior, who have an experience, who have experience self commercialization, and know and be able to do the strategic plan for that centers and also the tech transfer office, and have strategic plans and a budget provided to them. So let me share with you. I was the director for UM's technology transfer for 2 years, and within the short duration of the time, I can be able to optimize my directorship, and I introduce one indigenous program that we call UM-DICTEC. This is a transformative deep technology commercialization program that we already copyrighted, and we can offer our program to other university who are interested to have this program to serve to their technology transfer office. So this program varies from 1 week program, 2 weeks program, 3 months and 6 months. And I'm proud to say to you that the 6-month program already graduated. They have graduated on the 27th of February. The demo day was being conducted last Saturday, and we have about 150 participants that listen to their pitch, and 90 venture capital and angel, and we already in the process of establishing 14 startups. So this is a very, we call it express way to have a spin-off. So engagement and support from the university top management is very, very important. So it's very important for the university. I think this one, Dr. Biraj and also Dr. Gopi already mentioned in detail. So I do not want to go further, but I want to emphasize again the technology transfer tactic. One of the tactic is to get the support from the top management. Why I say that? Because looking back at the success story of UPM, so I want to go again in UPM. For example, the UPM Technology Transfer Office, every year they got a funding without fail, approximately 2 million for their IP filing and 1 million consistently to run their commercialization startup. They call it InnoHub. So UPM also have a entrepreneurship program. They call it InnoHub, and they have already about 47 startup, and they are very advanced. So they won the most entrepreneur public university. So another engagement and support from the faculty is very, very important. Under your university technology transfer, you yourself in your university, for you to do this engagement initiative. So one of the program is to go to your website, have an advertisement, communication with your researcher in your community, send a newsletter, update them what are the activity in your technology transfer, advertise, send flyers, handout, and then listen to them. And also you host a multiple information center, including annual university tech transfer open day. If the school have an open day, technology transfer, I tell you, we have to have an open day. We open our office and let all the researchers come over and complain to you and tell their problems and so on, and open a clinic and do consultation for all these researchers who needs your help. So you also have to direct engagement with the inventor through presentation. Usually we got the faculty research day. We go to the faculty, each faculty, and meet them, knocking at their doors. And we also have appointment of the Faculty of Technology Transfer ambassadors. So I would like to recommend to all the other technology transfer office that one of the success story that you can have, that to nominate a ambassador at the faculty as your TTO. And what are the function? The function is that this TTO will be the champion, and they will help you to spread the words and provide feedbacks from the faculty member. And to equip with the TTO knowledge, you have to educate this TTO, your ambassador, to advise to their colleagues. So in case that your officer are very busy, you can ask the researcher can seek the TTO at their faculty level, so they don't have to go to the TTO office. And then in University Malaya, when we have done that, the three top faculty that is very active, I want to say that the Faculty of Engineering, they are most active, and Faculty of Science, and also Faculty of Medicine. They are the three major source of innovation in University Malaya for the year of 2020. So another program that we should look into, another technology transfer tactics, is that to have an awards program and incentive. So university is recommended to have awards and recognition outstanding researcher in commercialization. For example, I think many university, RU University have an awards at the end of the day, Anugerah Cemerlang and so on. Not only your CJ Cemerlang or Anugerah Cemerlang, but they have a special award. They have a special awards that they give awards. So for University Malaya, we have a special award. They call it monetary. So they give money to you based on the award concerning with your high-tech and impactful social economic product services introduced annually. So we call it UM Excellent Awards. So then this person have to become the university icon, so and the role model. So I won the award in 2019 as the high technology and impactful social economy. So I have to be the role model for my University Malaya community, and also to represent for Malaysia also. So this is one of your commitment. When you have already the knowledge, you have to share it. And another one that we have is that the University Malaya also provide a form of paid charge fund. So we have also promote one of the channel for them to advertise is to publish in a journal. So the university pay for their journal in Q1 and Q2 only. And looking at the technology transfer, the technology transfer also help to try to find fundings. We got the prototype fundings given to our researcher as what the UMDT, the one that I mentioned to you, that we give funding at the same time training to them. And they also have many funding, internal, external, by the governments, like the prototype grant, the LRGS, the PPRN, and so on. So this is very important for them to help to accelerate their product. So this is the establishment of the spin-off startup. So it's very, very important to have an establishment and the policy in place for the startup. For the university is an ideal platform. And I want to tell you that nowadays, university spin-off company has become a trendy phenomena in the business world. So it's a very prestigious if you are a spin-off from the university. So get this opportunity. And this is the establishment of the spin-off startup. So Malaysia Innovation Lead Model, this is by the Malaysian data by the Malaysian Innovation Lead Model, University Spin-off for the Economy Development in Malaysia University. So basically, they focus on the agriculture-based, resource-led economy and the innovative-led economy. And then this is the establishment of the spin-off in University Malaya. So I want to inform to you that University Malaya is unique because we have a pre-spin-off. Means that before you want to open a company, we already have a pre-spin-off you. So we call it a UM business spot. And this UM business mod can be able to do business. You can be able to do business although you have not have a company yet, and you do business under the University Malaya Innovation Sdn Bhd company. Is a University Malaya holding company. So at the moment now we have about 13 pre-spin off, and then we are focusing on 4 pillars on the physical sciences, IoT, green technologies, and agriculture and life sciences. So this is one of the establishment of the to apply for the free spin-off. The processes, you can look at our website. You can also look at the module later on and detail how is the processes for. We got a form, you fill in the form, and then you complete, and the committee will evaluate if your business proposal, you have to write a business proposal. So the committee will evaluate the business proposal. Is the business proposal is viable and can we see that can be sustainable, so we can pre-spin off you. We can incubate you for 1 or 2 years. Then we ask you to accelerate and open your company after that. So establishment of the spin-off startup, there's a lot of advantages of having establishment of spin-off and startup. So Malaysian university have followed this modern practice by encouraging more research development on the spin-off or corporation. So this is all the advantages. One advantages I want to highlight is that until 2012, this is data I managed to get, there was about 1,650 intellectual properties have been created, and the research income is worth about 48.7 million through the IP rights and the licensing of the spin-off. So this is one of the wealth generation for the university, for the industry, and also for the country. So please grab the opportunity. So this is the establishment of the pre-spin-off that you have a spin-off in University Malaya. We have a spin-off company, about 13 spin-off in UPM. As I told you, they are the champion and they started their program for the spin-off since 2013, and up to now they already have 51 spin-off. And UTM also the second leading, are very active in having a spin-off company. And also surprisingly, UITM. And this is the establishment of the spin-off for the University Malaya. So this is a process the same as the pre-spin-off. When they want to spin off startup, they need to present to the committee, second committee, they call it Holding Board of Directors, and they are the one who decide whether they want to take up this company or not company. Do they want to have an equity or not equity in this company? They are very subjective, depends on the events on the application. This is one that I want to share with you, the UTM policy. They have the spin out policy already in place. They have 2 types, type A and type B. One is the type that have the equity, the university have the equity. Another one is that the university do not have an equity. So it depends on which type that you are applying. Then you go to this process and they will they will approve or not approve, depends on the evaluation process. And I want to share with you, you can look at the policy spin-off by other university in the website, but if they do not able to share to you, I want to share with you that my mentor John Fraser already shared with me the IP policy spin-off, a very good one that has been practiced by University of Wisconsin Madison. They call it WARF, W-A-F-F. So WARF is very, very comprehensive for those universities do not have, especially the private university that still do not have an IP policy. I would encourage you to look at the website and download this. You can learn a lot from this, and you can modify and adopt the policy that they have done. They have spelled out to avoid the conflict of interest as researcher to become an entrepreneur and academic. And one more thing on the technology transfer tactic that I want to share with you is that please, you have to be aware that in Malaysia, we have one organization that we call it Innovation and Technology Manager Association, ITMA. In United States is AUTM, as I mentioned to you earlier, but ITMA is in Malaysia. So this is an accredited professional bodies that they produce our RTTP, certified professional technology officer, and you can gain a lot of advantage. The objective is to share innovation, technology, ideas, and systematic ways, and they also want to foster innovation, development, market value. They also give you training. So they got a budget. The important thing is that they got a budget from the government under the Malaysian National Technology Venture Blueprint, and they have already give free training. So unfortunately, we missed the free training. So the 500 participants already gone, free training given by ITMA, by the government of Malaysia, and we already have 500 professional RTTP technology transfer all over in Malaysia now under ITMA. So I would encourage you, if your university has not yet registered a member of ITMA, please do so. But if you want to register as an individual also, you can take advantage of it. So the next one is that on University Technology Accelerator and Incubator. So this is very important because if you want to have a startup, you need to have an incubator where to incubate you. So this is the National and University TTO Incubator Design Consideration. So I want to tell you that the government do provide support. We are lucky to stay in Malaysia because Malaysia government provide so many support in commercialization and technology transfer. So we have to utilize the support. So one of the support is that the government ministry responsible in the incubator, namely. So these are the government who are supposed to help us in our incubator. So the Minister of Finance, Economic Planning Unit, EPU, and the MOSTI, the MOHI, the Minister of Art, Culture, Heritage. This organization, a government organization, is the one need to help us. For example, the MOSTI give you the grants, the MOSTI give you the guidelines, and now the MOSTI give you whatever facility, national sandbox. And for the EPU, I want to tell you that the EPU give us the funding for starting up university incubator. So there are active business incubators. So on top of that, you can see there's so many active business incubation. We got the Technology Park Malaysia, Kulim High Tech Park, Multimedia Development Corporation, and all these organization. And not forgetting the Malaysia Venture Capital Management as another business incubation, which is in part of government that provide investment fund to private companies, including those in incubator. So basically, if you already got your innovation and you got a partner company, a private company, please get this Malaysia Venture Capital funding. Okay, and we got also SIRIM. SIRIM also do a lot of certification. And I want to show to you that University Malaya and also USM are lucky because at that time, the two universities were funded by the Malaysian government as a pilot to set up the incubator under the RMK 10, Economic Planning Unit, EPU. So they have, in University Malaya, we have the incubator, we call it Accelerate. And in USM, they call it Innovative Incubator University, ICE2U. But we also have the UPM incubator, InnoHub incubator, and also in UTM, they have an iCube incubator where they rent the spaces for the movers and innovator to rent the space. So I want to share to you that since University Malaya and USM already been given the money, it does not belong to University Malaya. We are the one that service provider. We provide also to all the Malaysian. So you can see that we provide a share lab space equipped with the cutting edge machinery. This is all more on the medical devices in vitro, and we are the only one that have the development quality management system QMS for ISO 13485 certification service for medical device. So for those researchers still struggling to get a certification for for their in vitro medical device ISO 13485, please come to UMX and to UMCIC. We can be able to help you because we have already get one of our researcher on the dengue series, on the severe dengue ELISA kit prototype that already got the Malaysian ISO 13485 certified under this laboratory. So we welcome all the researcher. You can communicate with us to get more information. So this is another tactics for the technology transfer success, is that having educational element training mentor-mentee program. So as you know that University Malaya have a UMDT program training for startup, and also in UPM and other university also have their own program. So I would encourage that for those who do not have, get the facility from UMDT and also InnoHub to help you. So this is the educational training by InnoHub. And on top of that, the one that I want to highlight to you is that it's very important for you to have a mentor-mentee program training in your own university. For example, during when we are having in our tech transfer office, we are having the prototype grants for PRGS and MyLab grants. So I myself, the director, give the pitching session and guidance to my researcher on how to write the proposal and to pitch properly so that they can be able to get the grant, because the tips and so on. So and then we also have the UK and Malaysia Higher Education Partnership Forum. Remember in 2000, I think in 2018, we have the UK Malaysia Higher Education Partnership. This is under the Newton funding and also British Council and also MIC. So these three organizations do the forum for UK Malaysia partnership, and they offer a grant. So at that time, University Malaysia also take the opportunity, and we got the grant together with the University of Coventry, and we already have a collaboration and optimize our tech transfer office in Malaysia and also the Coventry tech transfer office. So this is the director when they come over. So it's an exchange program. Our Malaysian TTO to go and visit the TTO in UK, and the TTO directors and staff to come over and visit Malaysia, and we discuss about collaboration and so on. This is one of the success story that we have done. And another one that you have to not only to think about your own organization, you have to think about the professional body like IEEE organization and so on. Keep talking to this kind of organization, professional body, and have networking and have a talk together with them. And one important thing that I want to highlight to you is the program provided by MyPo and the WIPO. So the program called WIPO EIE. So is the World Intellectual Property Organization enabling IP environment. So they offer for free for all the Malaysian to apply, and if you apply, you successfully apply, you will get your own mentor. So this is the one that I want to tell you that I got two of these applications successfully, and I am being mentored. So this is John Fraser. So he's a very, very famous technology transfer person, the past AUTM president, and I learned a lot from John Fraser about all the tips and tricks, and he get us connected with all these MIT, Harvard, and so on. So it's good for you, all of you, to try to apply this program. So this program is available under Malaysian Intellectual Properties Organization. And another program that I would like to encourage you to go to accelerate for the technology transfer tactic is to get the international program offer other than EIE WIPO, is for Leaders in Innovation Fellowship Program. So this program is offered under the Royal Academy of Engineering and also under the Newton funding and supported by the government of Malaysia MIC. So I would encourage you to be in this program. This is the program that I told you that in 2017 that I went through and motivate me to become what I am here today. And this is the technology transfer pain point and action plan that I'm going to share with you, and also not only for Malaysia but Asian country. So what are the problems that we are facing now? We are facing with not our innovation are not in the market driven. We are lack of skilled personnel, the professional technology transfer that can be able to help us, to assist us, to guide us, and our measurement of success through metrics are not direct indicator of our impact. So that's the problem. And the misalignment of the intellectual properties protection regime and the organizational policy and standards. So some of the organization, they do not have a policy in place. So it's very difficult for the technology transfer to accelerate because no policy, how can you go? You do not know what are the direction. So this is most important thing, to have the policy. And they got the pressing needs and also the technology transfer. So please read the manual. And I have 5 minutes more to include my presentation today. So now I want to include my presentation. So what are the recommendation and call to action to all the TTOs and to all the audience and the listener today for this webinar? So as you can see that the Tech Transfer Office is in Malaysia setting is under the DVC and need to undergo few processes and approval stages before sending to the final stage to Vice Chancellor Office for final approval. So this process is very time consuming and tedious. This situation will frustrate and discourage the TTO to be more productive. So sometimes it will stuck and it will takes time to get approval. So this is very tedious. So my recommendation and our recommendation is that TTO should be placed directly under the Vice Chancellor Office and compel the TTO as one of the faculty by itself. It can be the Faculty of Technology Transfer, Faculty of Entrepreneurship, or also institute. So you are directly under the purview of your Vice Chancellor. So if you are under the purview of your Vice Chancellor, the TTO can have a dedicated budget allocated, and we can also ask the MOHI and also the MOSTI to give directly to the TTO instead of going to give to the DVC, and the DVC will dilute the budget to other things. So then by having this, the TTO has a greater degree of freedom in accelerating and leveraging the technology transfer activities. So that's my first recommendation. We have to change our governance. We have to be under directly to the Vice Chancellor. And the second problems that we have to change our organizational charge. We have to have a permanent contract staff, because the problem facing now that we do not have a permanent contract staff, and if it's the terms already finished, we will not continue them because we have no funding, and we have the TTO has to struggle to find a new staff and to endure the process of training the staff starting from zero. And then some of the top management, the directors and the deputy directors are being seconded only for 2 years. And if their blueprint is not being continued by the next director, then it's a waste of the energy being done by the previous director. So this is the problem faced by the Malaysian scenario now. So my suggestion is that to improve, to appoint the director is a profession's senior scientist, professor that has a passion, in-depth knowledge in the technology transfer and a good track record of commercialization and skill and leadership. And this director will be able to guide the technology transfer to do a very proper business proposal and to construct a good TTO organization chart as shown in figure 1. And then TTO should have also their permanent human resource. As I mentioned, that one deputy, one director and 2 deputy directors, especially one to take care of IP and also the commercialization, and at least a RTTP, professional chartered technology transfer officer that can guide. So as you know that just now, ETMA already produced 500 RTTP and they are all over the country now. So we can hire them. And to appoint a long-term secondant for the director and deputies, as what the UPM already implement and show a success story, at least a minimum of 6 years in terms. And my recommendation, another recommendation and call to action is that the most university TTO has struggled to find findings and to sustain the activity and tasks of the TTO. So the MIRA KPI with the limited of an adequate of budget obtained. So it will result in the TTO activity not being focused and optimized it should be. So my recommendation is that to get the government or the MOSTI or MOHI to revisit their TTO MIRA KPI and to get them to fund directly given to the TTO office, not to allocate via the DBC, because if you via the DBC have to share with also many people. So we have a very dedicated budget to the TTO itself. And another one recommendation is to have the problems with the conflict of interest by the university. Some universities do not have the IP policy in place, and then it will be in problem. So my suggestion is that the first thing to do to improve your TTO is to have the IP commercialization and spin-off in place. And the last one, that if the problems of conflict of interest, because some researcher owns equity more than 50% and so on, how are you going to deal that? That's why I told you that you have to have your IP in place, and you want a good reference that you can refer if you want to do the IP in place. Look at the WAF, the Wisconsin's University of Wisconsin Medicine IP policy that they have done. And the last one is that most university TTO have to struggle to perform their duty, lack of skills, knowledge, and training. So I will encourage that the top management and the organization level to give a strong support to all the TTs or office commercialization activity, and to give at least one spelling error. Sorry, to give at least one RTTP in the TTO, and continuous. The TTO must conduct a continuous educational and professional training program that necessary to alter the current and mostly negative perception about the commercialization in the university community, and to provide faculty assistance in commercialization effort. Importantly, to make awareness. So commercialization is very important, why it's important, and so on. So lastly, I want to share you one inspirational quote that has been said by Thomas Edison. I have not failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that won't work. It means that Thomas Edison made uh, have innovate 10,000 times uh, to or in order for him to find one light bulb is successful. Means that he have to endure 10,000 times of his research in order for him to find one light bulb. So for me, to all the innovators and also the technology transfer officer and researcher, do not give up. You must have passion, you must have resilience, you must have determination, because listen to Thomas Edison, he failed 10,000 times for his research. On the last one, he got the innovation. So happens to all to us also, the technology transfer. So another quote that I want to share with you is from Steve Jobs, the CEO of Apple. And the ones who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones who do. So Malaysia, why wait for? You can do it. Malaysia boleh. So lastly, I would like to acknowledge to all the person and organization that already give information for my slide today, and especially for Royal Academy of Engineering, University Malaya, and UMCIC, Center for Technology Transfer, UMCIC, and my center, Faculty of Engineering, and also to UPM, who share a lot with me, Dr. Zahira, Dr. Wan, and the past director of UPM, Prof. Shamsila, and also the president for ITMA now, and also the director for UTM, Prof. Noor Azurati, and also to Dr. Biru, and all my colleagues in this webinar series, and Mike, not forgetting Mike, and also lastly to my mentor, John Fraser. With that, I end my presentation. Thank you very much for listening to my talk today.